main disclaimer, the sad side of the story, I don't think we learned a lot from 2008. Because had we learned, we would have embraced a working from home based economy. We would have embraced a better infrastructure that would allow us to be able to cope with this model. I'll walk you through a bit more than 2008 and what happened. There are some differences that took place in the mindset and humanity, and so even if we go back to 1918, where the Spanish flu basically took place, there was a major crisis back then. The difference as we move in time is, back then we were 2 billion people, the human population was only 2 billion people, and 30% of them were literate. 2020 today, we're 7.5 billion nearly, plus minus, and 6.5 billion of us are literate. If we go back a bit more in time to the 2008 horizon, financial institutions were basically, I don't want to put any faults or blames on who was behind the crisis, but the financial institutions were able, along with governments, to come in, be it bailout programs and what have you, and come up with a solution. Today, the financial crisis, or the financial component of our current crisis, still did not hit. And we have a major focus in terms of crisis or attention on safety and health, which basically postpones the decision of worrying about economy and financials and what have you. However, this brings us back to our core values, and what you mentioned earlier with empathy. Is safety and human beings, the value of a human being, do we value it higher than economy? Or, and we're seeing different reactions, and the global model has lots of variance, and we're noticing how different economies are embracing the focus on economy versus the focus on the human being. However, what I feel at this time, that what really happened is, although the priorities shifted towards health and economy, at the majority of the major parts of the globe are postponing the focus on economy. However, there are very interesting movements that are out there that help focus on new economies and embracing what needs to happen before the crisis hits, the financial part of the crisis hits. What happened last time in 2008 was that everything we did was reactive. And I know now the financial markets most of them have crashed and what have you, but there are lots of grassroots initiatives that are very interesting to me, whereby they're addressing new revenue models, they're addressing new approaches, they're addressing vulnerabilities in our safety net, they're addressing vulnerabilities in our infrastructures and networks and what have you. How do you provide food? Lots and lots of different questions are being addressed.
So to conclude on the subject, I think you were on point, I guess. If you go back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs,
yeah.
From psychological aspect, we know that at the bottom of the hierarchy, psychological needs, it's what triggers human beings, being food, being health, etc. And I think it's true what you're saying today, the world population, by our human nature, first thing that we need to do is look after our health, whether we have food, whether we have whatever it needs. For my personal, this is our survival instinct. And I think once this is secured now, I think then people are going to wake up on the economic aspect and the safety aspect, on the work and the rest. So I think there is a disruption of our internal way of thinking about our lives, when most of us, we thought that we are safe, we've reached where we want to go, and suddenly today we realize that we are starting all over again. So I think it's normal when it comes to a human, from a human aspect, what's happening. And I hope that the psychological aspect won't last too long. So people, they can immediately start to cope with governments and with businesses on how they will tackle